your lipstick on?
It's Chapstick Fox.
We're live. Hi guys. Yeah, welcome back to episode 12, an even dozen of the daily antivirus edition of Roll with the Fox. I'd like to welcome Anton. I hope you're on. If you are, maybe just write a note. Anyways, Anton is from Australia, good friend of James Walters from Australia, who's a friend of ours as well. And Anton has a group, Monthly Masters in Australia. They train on a monthly basis, and they can't right now, so they're tuning in. Guys, shout out to Monthly Masters in Australia. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the episode. So let's get right to it. All right, this is instructional. It's interactive, so start asking questions, guys. Today, what we're going to talk about is perpendicular guard. Again, I'm not quite sure. You know, I guess the best form to describe it is it's a form of quasi-closed guard. It's actually open. I will close my guard occasionally when I have to. If I'm having a hard time tangling the guy up from my open guard and putting him into split guard, which was covered in the last 2 episodes, at some point I will close my guard. But as soon as I close my guard, maybe catch my breath if I'm gassed, and then I go to tower. Right away, I start to go perpendicular. All right. Why are we doing this? So let's explain this. So Enrique is trying to pass my guard, and let's suppose, we've been doing this for a while. I'm trying to get him engaged, get him into split guard, and I will close my guard. All right. Now, as soon as I get here, guys, I'm making sure that I can control his posture. With the gi, it's pretty easy. As soon as I get here, I put my thumb in, 4 fingers out behind the skull. With no gi, I'm just gonna use my hand behind his back, the back of his skull. Okay. So it's very little adjustment. Gi, no gi, doesn't matter, right? The rest of the technique is the same. So as soon as I close my guard and as soon as I catch my breath, we're going at it for a while, I'm getting tired of defending the guard pass. I'm going to go under his leg and keep his posture broken, and I'm going to try to go perpendicular. What I'm trying to do, guys, is to start a thread of a sweep. All right? So let's look at it again from the other side. So I close my guard, trying to swim in. He's keeping his arm retracted, so I really can't get. If his arm is, if I can do this and put him in split guard, I will. But this time I couldn't, and I'm looking for a sweep. Okay. Now he has a couple options. All right. Believe it or not, the best one is to be swept. I will explain this, why it's the best one. So it's a bad sweep because he not only gets swept, but he also winds up mounted. But after you go through this class, you will realize that his other options are actually worse than getting swept. And now I've been playing with this for a long time, and believe it or not, if I get a good bite and a good perpendicular positioning, even high-level guys would rather be swept than wind up with the alternative. So this is a flower sweep. It's basic sweep that a lot of people learn, and there's a couple of elements to it, guys. Anytime you have a lot of your body on the ground, you have a lot of friction with the ground, so it's very hard to move. So you want to kind of curl up and pivot. It's a very, very important movement in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So all right, and now we're going to sweep. Okay, so let's go over the sweep. I need to put him at a threat of a sweep for him to react. All right, but let's look at how he's going to get swept first. And notice, guys, the reason for the perpendicular guard or positioning that I'm always seeking is if you have somebody in your guard, whether it's open, closed, the guy always tries to use your body, torso, as sort of a tool to help him maintain good posture and also hopefully to slow you down. All right? So let's look at even if Enrique's pass and Nika pass. Why is he keeping his hand over here? Or by my hip? Okay? It's to slow my movement down and to get posture. If his hand was on the floor, what is he vulnerable to? Split guard and the associated attacks that we went over the last 2 days. So, even in closed guard, open guard, it doesn't matter. The guy is always trying to put his hands on you. So, I will sit up. I will just, guys, I raise my hips a little bit to get really close, and then I'm going in. We're going to do the sweep from the other side. So, from the other side. So, I will keep this grip, especially with the gi. No gi, I will just post on the ground, but with the gi, I will keep the grip. All right, it sort of staples him to the ground. So it makes it a little harder for him to move. Guys, once he's going, I will disengage. Pose, get a good base. Okay? One more time from the other side. Okay? From here, guys, we have a lot of attacks. We've covered some of this stuff in the previous episodes. All right? So, that's the first step in the attack. I go perpendicular, and I put him at a threat of a sweep. So he's got one of two choices. Post his hand, or get swept. All right? So we'll go over what happens if he posts his hand. So, have any questions so far, Mike?
On Facebook, Adolfo Ferranda says, "Good morning from California. So what is your deciding factor if you go to split guard or perpendicular guard, the elbow in or not?"
The deciding factor is if I can stretch him out. Okay, so if I can't stretch him out and trap his arm, meaning, so what I'm looking for is this. So if I can do this, I'm going to take the split guard. All right, this puts him, that threat is pretty much immediate. But if I can't, if he's keeping his elbow short, right now I'm not in a great position because I'm not in a horrible position, but right now I'm flat on my back. My legs bent, so my legs are so bent, it's hard for me to push him away. So what I'm looking to do is, if I can, to take that on. But if the guy is really good, constantly keep it in the middle. I'm sweeping. Okay? So the question is basically, if I can engage him like this, where my feet are on the hips, my arm is under his armpit, or if he constantly just thwarting my grips and constantly stays a better posture, then I will threaten the sweep, and then we're going to go into an offensive mode after that. We're going to go for some submissions.
On YouTube, Jimmy T says, "Fox, thanks for doing this every day. Every episode is great."
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm curious to see, guys, if you've seen every single episode, just write down 12. I'm curious. I know Adolfo is probably almost every single one. You might have missed one or something, but if you've seen every episode live, put 12. If you've seen every episode but not live, that's still good too. All right? So let's look at the sweep again. So he's got good posture. I try to, and then if he has an even better posture, what I start to do is sit up, and I'm already weaving. So this is almost a no-gi version. What the guys might try to do is try to stand up. You have to make sure that is not possible. And then we go into attacks. Mounted arm locks. We've covered that in previous episodes. Guys, by the way, yesterday somebody asked for a counter to a vaporizer. I wasn't familiar with the term. Turns out, my understanding is electric chair, scorpion, and what, lockdown. We covered that in one of the episodes, so it's labeled. On both on Facebook and YouTube, it's labeled, so look for it. It's already been covered. If you have follow-up questions, that's fine, but if you're looking for a counter, it's been covered. Let's look at what happens when he posts his hand down. So Enrique posts his hand down. What I need to do is make sure that right now I cannot move. Okay? But he wants to retract that hand. Right? So as I'm going for this, if he doesn't retract the hand, I'm going to try to sweep back, and as he's posturing up, I'm switching into an arm lock. Okay? So generally speaking, he will retract that hand for you. But if he doesn't, he keeps it, put it wherever you think is a good place. You like it? You like that spot? Okay, he likes that spot. So, guys, notice that I want to make sure I stay perpendicular. I'll go under his left knee. Right, sometimes you can even reach for the far side leg. I'm threatening a sweep backwards also. So notice that go ahead, find that good spot. So as I'm pushing into him slightly with the back of my right hamstring, his hand starts to get really, really light. And then he gets arm lock. This is a brutal arm lock, guys. Now, a lot of times, we're doing it slow with the momentum, it's even better. So let's look at it a little bit with the momentum. Is your hand stretched out? Good? All right. This is brutal, guys. All right? One more time. So notice that my hand on the gi keeps him from posturing out. That is your number one priority. Okay? Now my hips are moving up and down as I see fit to get his hand off the ground just enough that I can go around, so he's no longer blocking my hips. That is critical. So you have to make sure his posture is broken. If you cannot do that, he will escape. Not just he will escape, I'll probably pass you guard. All right, so keep his posture. Guys, believe it or not, even against high-level guys with the correct grips and the right angles, even for them it's very difficult to get their posture back well. Because don't forget, they're using your body as a form of support. So once they're here, they need to sort of lighten up on their arm. Their arm now suddenly becomes at a risk. But he needs to, so if he starts out here, posts his hand and to come back, that split second, his arm is at risk. All right? Do we have any questions on this so far?
Yes. So on Instagram, Joao Pravec says, hello from Brazil.
Hi.
And on YouTube, Khabib the Eagle says, thank you for clarifying about the vaporizer. That was me who asked the vaporizer question.
Yes, go back to, I don't know which episode it is, but it is covered in one of the other episodes. Mike said episode 2, guys. Again, that's an inside joke. One time I kept saying it was covered in previous episode, and after the episode we just filmed, guys told me you kept referring to episode 2 because I didn't know which one it was. So now we refer to, if we don't know, we refer to episode 2. But it is not episode, well, it might be, but we're not sure. So just go through, every episode is labeled on the Silver Fox Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy page and on YouTube. Every episode is labeled. On my personal page, no, because I just don't have time. Mike, behind the camera, does that afterwards.
And on Facebook, Tom Dodal says, thank you from Canada. What do you do when you got the underhook when you underhook their knee and they drop their weight back, trapping your arm. Cheers.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. You understand? So, come on, drop your weight. Right. What do we have here, Tom? I don't know if you called the last 2 days. So, if a specific move or technique is taken away from you, you can kind of use your hips a little bit. Now this time you don't, the movement becomes slighter. Because now I know I'm not going to be able to move to his arm that quickly. He already knows that arm is at a risk for a straight arm lock, for a normal arm lock from the guard. So he's going to, as he's sitting on it, I'm trying to get my hand back. So I just move him just a little bit so I can get my hand back. But as soon as I do, while he's happy to regain his posture, I'm already moving into the split guard. I've described that before, guys. When guys are in my guard, I will generate interplay between split guard and this guard. These are my 2 favorite guards. These are the 2 guards that I'm going to go back and forth with. And I like this even for MMA purposes. You have rash guard? Yes. All right. So I'm going to just do this without his gi. Without my recall, real quick. So in MMA, so you can hit me. Try to get your posture back. How many arms do we need for an arm lock, guys? 0 to 1. I have 0 right now, but can you pull your arm out? I feel pretty good here, guys. All right, so let's go back to the gi, and we're going to do that when he sits on your hand. It will happen. It's happened to me. But all you need to do is just kind of go back and forth a little bit, move your hips up. Because every time you move your hips up, he just pops up a little bit. So you just kind of get your arm back, and then you follow up with another attack. All right? So let's look at it again.
A lot of 12s popping up on all 3 platforms.
Nice. A lot of 12s. Members of the Dozen Club. Guys, can somebody tell me why he's got a white gi and I have a black gi? I'm curious to see what the answers are while I'm extracting my arm from underneath Enrique's leg. So, what Tom is asking, and that's a very, very good question. As I drive in, I pivot. Now he's sat on my arm. So I'm going to push back. I'm going back in, and now I have probably the ugliest arm lock you've ever seen. It might be ugly, but it's very effective. Tap, tap. Okay? So one more time. So if you notice over the last couple of classes, the key thing, even when we're playing the split guard, the short arm lock, notice that if, Enrique stays kind of slight angle to me because if he lines up, he's at a risk. But I can put him at that risk just moving my hips underneath him. So a lot of times we're moving hips in and out, perpendicular. So I'm moving my hips either out, in and out, or, so I'm basically pivoting on 2 axes. And that's what keeps the guy bit of at a loss to start passing my guard. When they're too busy regaining their posture, guess what they're not doing? They're not hitting you. They're not passing your guard. Their number 1 order of business is to regain posture. So one more time. And we go. So this time again, he successfully, and I move into this when I know it was like the 2nd or 3rd time. So as I'm threatening with that sweep, moving hips out, in, On the third one, I knew I could get my hand in, so I should immediately know now I can switch. I'd like to have this hand, but I don't. So what does that mean? It's all plata for Enrique because I know he's going to turn away. No. Tap. I'm going to let you roll. So, that's the answer. All right, so first thing, when we put somebody in perpendicular guard is we threaten a sweep. We get it, great, we're mounted. So you have a lot of attacks from there. If his hand posts, don't worry, he will not stay there posted forever. If he's sort of saying, okay, I'm scared, I'm not moving, you can always move your hips and just get his hand just enough off the ground. You want to make sure that it's not there as a solid stop. Well, this is good. Now I can move around my hips and I can attack sort of arm locks. If you notice, guys, a lot of the arm locks I hit him with is sort of like these unorthodox angles, right? And grips. Because we already worked, there's a 1 or 2 episodes of arm locking where we played around with 4 concepts. Angles, grips, fulcrum, and follow-ups. So as you can tell, you know, there's this oddball arm lock that I use that I've taught in this online class, which teaches you quite a bit about those 4 things, and I'm employing them from other, like right now I'm employing them from the guard, because I know at what point his arm is at a risk, and then I go for the submission. Or if he decides to, if he chooses, he can take a sweep. Have you ever taken a sweep from me? Because he can fight another day. So, do we have any questions or we move on?
Everybody's saying you're wearing different color gis for contrast so you can see details. Jean-Christophe Blanchard says, because Silver Fox represents the dark side.
I was the whitey last time, so no, but contrast is right. We're trying to make sure that you guys, when the limbs get tangled up, that you guys can clearly see what's going on. Anyways.
And also on Instagram, Fresh on Me says Silver Fox wears black because he's a fashion icon.
Thank you, I appreciate that. You may need glasses.
And Cosmo asked, what if the free hand posts on the inner thigh or behind it and he follows the leg?
Yeah, that's going to be hard. Do you understand the question? So we're going to go on this side so you can see the free hand. So let's close up. I'm trying to swing. Yeah, I just swing back. By swinging my leg back, I take that support away from him. Can anybody tell me what's going to happen to Enrique now? You know what it is. Submission coming. One more time. So anyways, anytime somebody posts on your limb. Now, if I post on Enrique's leg and I have good posture like this, I'm going to pin it. But don't forget, he's posting as a response. So now he's posting like this, even if he has solid grip. This is not a good base. Okay, if I undercut this, he's going to lose his balance. All right? That's sort of almost a defensive basing out. It's basically you're trying to stop the sweep. So as soon as I sweep, I don't sweep. I don't stop there. The only reason I would stop is if I feel I have an arm lock, then I come back into an arm lock. But usually, if I get the sweep and I feel the guy's basing out, I kick my left leg back underneath him, and that usually completes the sweep. Guys, it's very important when I'm completing the sweep to have control of his upper body, okay? And drive your hips almost like you're leading with your hips. Do you guys know why? I'll give you 3 seconds to see if some quick responses come.
Roberta Graham says, hashtag pray for Enrique.
So here's the reason. So I swept him, and I don't have control. What are you going to do here? Oh, you're going to come back. All right, let me make it a little harder. So, this is why I need to keep my grips on him or drive heavily with my hips. So my hips clear the possibility of an ashigarami before it actually happens. All right? So make sure you drive your hips heavy on that sweep as you're completing it. All right? Here's the only problem with the gi. You're gonna constantly tie the belt. Go for our shigarami. What do you feel you got? Yeah, we're going into that eyeball arm lock. I did not have my leg in a proper position, but this will happen. All right? So that's the answer on that. If the guy, as he's falling, posts on that leg, I just take the leg away from him. Okay? So, sweep, arm lock. So, logically, if the guy is getting swept, and he can't stop, he does actually manage to stop the sweep. If he can't stop the sweep, you mount it. If he manages to stop the sweep, he's vulnerable to an arm lock. So, what is the logical response on his part? So pull that arm back. So let's go over that. So, does actually somebody remember what episode it was? I'm pretty sure it was not 2. Yeah, all the way. Was it 2? Oh, it might have been actually. This one actually might have been episode 2, but I'm not sure. So when he retracts that arm, what is my number one job to make sure he cannot do? He can take his arm back. Keep his posture broken, which allows me to lock a reverse triangle. And usually once it's there, guys, and reverse triangles, if you remember for whatever episode we covered that in, reverse triangle is very difficult to escape, probably more difficult than a straight triangle. It's harder to choke, but when you have somebody that's stuck in your triangle, you can play around, you can put your hand on the other karate that's a little free, you can attack origatami, you can attack key locks. There's a lot of things you can do. All right, so let's look at that again. Here he's done. You can also attack kimuras if you feel so. All right. So there's a lot of things, but right now I want to make sure that he cannot pop. Can you posture up, Enrique? Okay. All right, Mike is giving me this signal. I know that's turn, but is it this way or this way, Mike?
Show the other side.
Oh. All right. So guys, if, you know, like right now, this is not a good closed guard. So I just sit up, and I'm sitting up at an angle. If I sit up straight, it's not gonna happen. I'm sitting up at an angle. Now, I'm threatening the sweep. Congratulations, you took your arm out. Your prize for that is the reverse triangle. So, we're coming to a close, guys. This time flies. I'm really enjoying this. I hope you guys are enjoying that as well. Invite your friends. Share, like, I don't know what else you can do on Instagram. Guys, just so you know, I manage my Facebook account. Mike takes care of the YouTube and Instagram. Eventually, if you have any questions, comments, they do get to me. And I read all the questions. So we still have about a minute left. Let's open it up to a few other questions.
On YouTube, YB Kim says, "Hey Karel, I learned so much from your daily classes. Thank you so much for doing this for the BJJ community, and kudos to Enrique as well."
Thank you, guys. We're enjoying this, yeah.
Andrea C says, "Hi from Italy. If the opponent grabs inside the lower leg pants and keeps it fixed on the ground to press the knee, then to the knee and overpass."
Which lower?
I think that's the same question across like pinning the leg.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to it. So we addressed this issue maybe a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to try to slow it down so you can see it, but understand that it works a lot better with the momentum. So, as I'm sweeping, you post on my leg. It's extremely easy for me to do this. Put a lot of weight on there. Then I just drop. All right. So that is not a move that's going to stop the sequence. Okay. Any other questions before we sign off for today?
YB Kim says, "What if he has both arms tightly locked on to his body so that you can't get under his armpit with your leg?"
All right. You want to hold on to my belt? Why do you think Enrique gives me that face? That much for your modeling career. What's going to hit the mat first?
I love face first.
Let's see. Let's do it this way. So, it doesn't matter. Right? Now, if I put a lot more momentum, especially, so he's like really like this. But notice that anytime, guys, if the guy's elbows are out, we can attack with a gatami, right? We can attack arm drag with a gatamis. What happens when his elbows are really in? So even if the guy's really strong, especially if he turns to one side, he starts to move forward. Okay? That's it. If somebody's that defensive, you can just hip heist them. Or you can threaten it. So he has to try to sort of tread them. All right, so that doesn't stop it. All right? Anytime somebody's like this, I will threaten back as they're coming back. Now the sweep is coming. And they have to either disengage or get swept. And if they're smart enough, they're going to turn with the sweep so their face doesn't hit the mat first. Guys, I hope that's it for the questions, Mike. All right, guys, I will read all your questions after this. Enjoy your day. Stay well. Take care of others. And I will see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, episode 13.